Okay, I played Below back during the Christmas break, and I always intended to do a stream about it and forgot until now. So we're gonna go check out Below, but with one with one little caveat, which is I've already played this save game to the point of frustration, and so we're just gonna start over from the very beginning. So we're gonna do a new game. Which is actually good, because one of the parts of Below that impressed me the most was just the way it brought across its atmosphere right at the very beginning. It starts with silence and a little rotating icon, but so right here, I love this moment because you feel like you're looking at the sky, right? You're seeing stars. They're undulating, though, in an interesting way. You're not quite sure, like, is it hazy? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something particularly fantastical about this universe? And so this was my kind of one of my favorite moments of the game. And then as I got into it and started feeling the way that that the character controlled, I started feeling the way the way that combat felt. Like, a lot about this game was really good, and I loved throughout the atmosphere and the art are completely gorgeous. And the reason that I stopped playing was because, you'll notice, by the way, you're starting to see waves. And at first I thought those waves were clouds. But then there's clouds that start drifting in from the top of the screen. And then I recontextualized it and realized, no, I'm looking at the night sky reflected in the ocean. And so that shift in perspective as you're watching the opening screen is a really cool experience. So I had an amazing time during the very beginning of this game, and as I started exploring the world. And this studio is incredible. They're top-notch at creating atmosphere and a sense of just a new, unfamiliar world to explore. And the place where I stopped playing was after I had died a couple of times. The issue is, whenever you die, your dead body is left wherever it is, as deep into the game as you got. And then your new character has to come in and try to get that far down to retrieve the body and retrieve all the stuff that's on it. You do have places where you can store things for future characters to get. There's even like a little pocket dimension you can get to from any campfire. It's a very useful way to sort of pass things from person to person. But one of the most vital tools in the game is your lantern, and the lantern is unique. It's carried. You get your first one with your first character. That's the only way you can progress through the initial parts of the game. And then wherever you die, the lantern is left there. And then future characters have to get there before they get the lantern. And the reason why I quit the game was because there are some hazards in the game that are only illuminated and are only really easy to see with the lantern. And so I had one life where my new character arrived to go and find the dead body of the old character, and I was gonna go down to like level 4 or 5, wherever they were, and get the lantern off their dead body. But before I could get there, I hit an instant kill trap that if I had had the lantern, I would have seen the trap and avoided it. But I was instantly killed by a trap that was virtually invisible without the lantern. And that was a very frustrating experience. And it made me like, okay, I think, you know what? I don't have time to devote to a game that is going to kill me that abruptly. And so I quit. But the experience that I had leading up to that point was actually so good that I really wanted to make sure that I streamed this, because, not everyone feels like, I have to treat my time very preciously because there's so many games that I want to play, and there's so many responsibilities I have to chase after every day, that for me that was a quitting point. But I know there are a lot of players, particularly like in the speedrunning community, who are willing to play games very deep, hit frustrating death points, and then keep going. And I think for that audience, this game feels like it's actually tailor-made for that audience. And so all of the good things about this game will still be true for that audience, as they were true for me. But that point of frustration where I felt like I needed to quit, I think that won't be there for a lot of people. And so I really want people to see this and be exposed to it, because it's a really gorgeously made game. Yeah, so and Cloudcraft points out that one of the downsides of having this key item stick with your dead body is that, if you have a lucky first run and you get really far, but you're still inexperienced, you could end up in a situation where your next character is just kind of screwed, has a really hard time finding the dead body that you left behind, because you're not prepared enough. Now, there are alternatives to the lantern that do make it easier to see. You can craft torches, for instance. But everything in this game, this is a survival game, so everything in this game is a consumable, limited commodity, except for the lantern. And so it's you can use those, but they've got limited utility, and I'm not even sure if they highlight the traps the same way that the lantern does. There's definitely a lot of this game that I have yet to discover, and so it could easily be that there are answers to a lot of the problems that I had that I just don't know about yet. Derek Blaze at the Blaze Experience podcast similarly played this game and had a very similar experience to the one that I had, actually. So if you want to get his analysis of it, you can go check out the Blaze Experience podcast. The most recent episode from the middle of this week was about this game. So let's see here. Okay, so we've just arrived. This is my character. I can hit the X button to switch between my sword and shield and a bow and arrow. I don't want to waste my arrows, so I'll stick with the sword and shield right now. I pull the right trigger to attack, and there's no point really in hacking the grass down, but man, do I like it. Look! I mean, the grass is so fun and reactive, and it's still reactive even when it's knocked down. Actually kind of reminds me of the grass in the Stormlight Archive because it kind of disappears a little bit under my feet. You'll notice these little glints of light around the world. These are items that I can pick up. So I go over here and follow this glint, and oh, look, a rock. I think that's a rock. I don't remember. And see, what are my other controls? So, like I said, I haven't played this since Christmas, and so I have forgotten a lot of the controls. So, okay, I can block with my shield with the left trigger. Oh yeah, I can dart forward with the right bumper. And then, that's right, so, and then the left bumper, this is interesting. You hit the left bumper, that's your lantern button. If you hit it, your character, like, checks their hip like, hey, am I supposed to have a lantern? No, I don't have a lantern. So that tells me this button does do something. The character just can't do it yet. So I'm picking up some items. Doop, doop. There's one over here too. Fish meat. Oh, and I'm also in the water. So I can gather water into, so I can drink water, which you'll see in the upper left-hand corner. Whenever I do something that affects my survival, you can see my little health thing up there. So I think, was it the Y button? Yes, Y button opens my inventory. So I can look around here at the different things I have. Consumables, tools. I think that's for tools or crafting or, I don't know. My weapons, which, you can have up to 4. You can you always have your sword equipped, and then you can equip another secondary weapon. And then this is my lantern, which I don't have yet. And so you can craft things by selecting, I've just selected one item, and then it will highlight any other item that is combinable with this item, but I don't have any yet. If I switch over here, whoops, I just ate that. I didn't mean to eat that. Whatever. So if I sit down at this campfire, campfires are single use, so they, when you set one, I believe that's, you have the potential to save your game there, I think, once you've got the lantern. I'm trying to remember how it works now. You also have the option to cook. So I forgot that crafting stuff on this page of my inventory can only be done at a fire. So for instance, I could highlight this water and other items if I wanted to cook them. But let's. So it looks like I can't cook anything right now. These things must all just be, hey, just eat this thing raw, whatever. But eventually you can learn to cook here, you can learn to craft here. I don't think I have any of the right equipment to be able to craft, so let's just move on from there. And let's go into this cave. So I think I didn't notice this cave my first time through, but I discovered it later through the back way. And you see, oh look, there's a bridge here that is out, and I'm not sure. I can't remember. I think I might have to interact with this from the other side. Yeah, firing an arrow at it doesn't do anything. So we'll come back here later on. But I really like the way they handle the fog of war here. Like, there's sort of a blur that goes into the areas you can't see, which looks really nice. Oh, K-Sizzle is listening to my my use of button terminology. I referred to bumpers. So yes, this game is on the Xbox. But I think it might even be available on Game Pass. I'm not sure about that. So of course the most obvious place to go is always straight ahead. So that's where I'm going to go, and that's where the lantern can be found at the very beginning. But yeah, Cloudcraft is continuing to discuss the UX implications of the fact that I just accidentally ate a turnip. It is kind of problematic that the same button that I use to combine things on one page of my inventory is used to irrevocably use things on another page of my inventory. Especially, in a survival game where every little bit of food matters, that can be pretty frustrating. And that is not the only time that's happened to me. It happened to me a lot, even during my first playthrough. So I don't really need to be doing this, but it's fun. So I'm just carving myself a path to the lantern. But I love the extra effort that the team put into just giving the world of this game texture, even in places where they didn't have to. I mean, this game would work perfectly well if this was just a flat texture behind me. But the fact that it's this, living, moving world that I can interact with, even just at this surface ground level, is just really nice because I don't know. You can pacing in a game is a very difficult thing to decide upon and to balance. And if you want to do a game that has a very slow, sleepy, languid pace, like Below has for most of it, then you're contending with a lot of risk of player boredom, right? It's a good chance that players will disengage and start wondering whether they're using their time well. And so a lot of the time what you need for a game that has that kind of slow pace is a lot of texture, so that as you're moving through an area really slowly, you still feel like there's a lot to see, a lot to do, a lot to interact with, even if not all of it is instrumental to your progress in the game. Okay, so I can press LB. It can make a huge difference to your enjoyment of it. All right, so as long as this lantern is on, it's consuming a resource. So I'm going to turn it off. But you can see it does things like highlighting, I don't know, what are these, ley lines or something in the terrain? So originally I just ran it out as soon as I got it. I'm not going to do that this time around. Because it's really useful for detecting traps, and it's necessary for opening certain doors in the game, as well as just being useful for light. The way that they do the lighting in the game, there's a lot of cases where you just plain need light. And so you'll want to use the lantern just for that sake. Cloudcraft says that we need to have a special term for interactive things that don't actually make a difference to the gameplay, but are just there to make the world feel better. And I agree. Yeah, having I'm sure there are probably people who have like little local jargon for it on individual teams, but yeah, I've never heard an official term for it, an official accepted term for it. Oh, so I got distracted by the chat and then hit the wrong button and left. I've actually done that multiple times in the game too, where I'll enter a doorway, I'll go somewhere, and I'll accidentally walk the wrong direction and immediately leave. And so I have to sit there through the loading screen multiple times. There are a lot of games that solve that by not making the volume that you enter to exit a door, having it be inactive when you first arrive, and you have to walk away from it and then walk back in order to trigger it again. It looks like in this game it might be less of a volume and more of a like a surface you press against. Okay, so if I hold the left bumper, I can point my lantern this direction and open this door. One thing that's interesting is that they make your right stick always active for rotating your character, which that makes perfect sense when you're like aiming a bow or like a shield, for instance. But they make it active just all the time, and so you can always control the direction of your character. So whether you're aiming your lantern, which I can't do right now, or aiming your shield, aiming your bow, you can always control the facing of your character. And I think that getting attacked from behind or in the front makes a difference, especially with your shield up. And so when you're not interacting with the right stick at all, it just has your character facing the direction they're moving. But anytime I want to, I can walk backwards, for instance. So it gives, again, it's another texture thing. It makes me feel like I have a lot of control over my character, even at times when that control doesn't actually make a difference to the way the game is played. They still let me feel like I've got all this control, which again, like, really helps the moment-to-moment experience of the game. So it is getting super dark in here. So I can, I think, okay, yeah, so I can turn on my lantern briefly, but I think that opening the door actually spent the last of its resources. And so it's just going to be dark until I get some more. Oh, hey there, Joe Bob. Thanks for joining the chat. All right, so I get down here, and we've got another campfire. And we've got some things to pick up. I'll use the campfire in a second. I want to explore a little bit further first before I use it. Because again, campfires are single use. And it's interesting because they set it up so that you can only use a given campfire once. Looks like I obtained, a spear. You know what? I've never actually used the spear. Let me switch to it. If nothing else, then to avoid accidentally wasting arrows. What was that? Oh yeah, so anything that you set on fire is single use because then you've exhausted it. But they make it so that after any fire burns out, it leaves ash behind, and then ash is one of your key crafting resources. And so they're doing a good job of, like, things in this game are consumable and everything dies and goes away. But they try to make it so that you're glad when something dies, because then something else good happens afterwards, which is that's a really good move in a survival game. Letting you recycle, basically. Cloudcraft asks, is there any context for why your character's here and why they're doing what they're doing? No, there's no context given for that. I think that eventually you might start getting an impression of what your character's here to do, but certainly right up front, all you know is you arrived here on a boat and there's a place to explore. And I actually kind of like that. I like games that have that sort of mysterious atmosphere. Notice I just picked up a... let's see here, can I interact with... How can I interact with this? I know I've done this before. Do I have to use my sword? There we go, I had to use my sword. And then I get to keep the string. So remember, this is the cave for the beginning. So now I've got a shortcut to get into the first dungeon that doesn't require me to climb that first cliff face. So that'll be good. For later characters who come in after this guy, after he inevitably dies, they'll be able to take this shortcut that he's opened to go deeper, faster. But yeah, so there are some games where I feel like I need the context to give me a motivation to move forward. But a game like this, where the whole thing is kind of about the mysterious atmosphere, it actually kind of feels good not to know and just sort of to discover the value that things have just in context. Cloudcraft asks, is there nothing worth picking up in the first area? So the only pickups in the first area that are valuable are in that very first landing area and surrounding the cave entrance. And so I think that I believe that at least some pickups and resources respawn when you die, so that their new character can come in and can use them. I think not as much as your first run through, but I think there is a certain amount that comes back. But they do a good job of not having, like, none of the key things that I want to pick up, aside from the lantern itself, are up that initial cliff face. And so I really can skip it and not feel bad about it. All right. So we are on floor 1 here. And you can see that there's this mist. The fog of war is a mist that disperses as I explore, which is pretty cool. I'm kind of nervous about traps. I'm hoping I can kill some enemies and take some resources from my lantern pretty soon. By the way, I don't know if the ambient audio is coming through. I usually keep the audio for games pretty low when I'm streaming. But I gotta say, this game is top notch when it comes to ambient audio and soundtrack. I mean, if there's nothing else you want to play this game for, like if you've got, I think it's on Game Pass. If you've got Game Pass, it's worth checking this game out just for the audio experience, even if you don't think you'll be interested in the long-term gameplay. So I'm sorry that it's very dark right now. It's probably really difficult to see where I'm going. I'm even having trouble seeing where I'm going. One tool that you have, I'm trying to remember where it is kept. Oh, here it is. So I've got a map. That map doesn't look like a map yet. It looks like a diamond with some lines connected to it. But what that map is telling me right now is that I'm in an area shaped like a diamond on the map. It's not shaped like a diamond, literally. But it's got an exit to the north and to the south. That's what the dotted lines are. And so I know this exit, this map only has, this section of the map only has an exit to the south. So if I want to search to the east and west, that's fine. Maybe I'll find pickups or something. But if I want to leave, I know what direction to find an exit. That's extremely helpful because sometimes it's very easy. Just with the way that this place is presented, it's very easy to make a mistake and just miss that something is an entrance. So I can light these little braziers. And right now, that doesn't really do much. All it does is it makes ash for me to come back and collect later. But later on, there are ice levels where lighting those braziers is how you stay warm. And you have to keep returning to them. So these little guys are the enemies, and I have to chase them down pretty hard. And one problem is that these crystals that they drop, those crystals, they are the fuel for my lantern. And they can fall off cliffs. And one thing that is very common is to attack, like, at least for me, I have a tendency to button mash, and so I'll attack an enemy twice, hoping that one of the attacks will hit. Oh, there we go. That fell off a cliff. I couldn't see. And my first hit will kill the enemy, and the second hit will knock the crystal away, and the crystal will fall off a cliff. Okay, so I've got 4 crystals now. You can see that at the top of the screen. So now I can turn my lantern on again. And the lantern illuminates the world much better than my little sight radius does. I can check the map and see that, okay, there's a southwest and a south exit to this area. So up here, if there's anything up here, it's just pickups. And it looks like there's nothing. The main thing I got up here was enemies. So as long as I keep this lantern on, it's going to slowly deplete the crystals that I got from those guys. And those crystals are important. Like, I need to actually spend a large number of them to create a reusable save spot. Like if I want a future character to be able to teleport down several levels to find my dead body, the only way to do that is to spend a bunch of lantern crystals. Okay, so I think I'll keep going straight down. I'll turn off my lantern and keep going straight down. Cloudcraft, the lantern consumption is primarily time-based. Okay, so this is where they teach you, hey, look, you've got a map. It is primarily time-based, like keeping the lantern on. There's also particular uses of the lantern aside from lighting the world that cost certain amounts of crystals. Okay, so my inventory is full. So let's look at our inventory. So this part of my inventory is full, but I think I can probably craft something. So ember and string, all this stuff together makes, you can see at the bottom, see on the left side of the inventory, it's collecting the things that I selected, and then it tells me that's gonna make a torch. So I hit A, and I get a torch from that. So I could do that again. And then if I wanted to take some blood moss, some sludge, and some string, that makes a bandage. And so now I've cleared some space, and if I combine these shards, I'll make a, whatever this is, a spike? I don't know what this is for at all. But now I've cleared some room in my inventory so I can collect more stuff. So the lack of inventory space was a big frustration for me because the better that I did at the game, the less I needed to use consumables, and so the more full my inventory would get, and I would hit the ceiling of it really fast, and I wouldn't feel like I got to really explore all of my options. But you do eventually unlock the ability to access the little pocket dimension from campfires. And once you get the ability to do that, you can store some of your excess items in there and make more room in your inventory. And that's what I eventually ended up doing. So these little guys tend to run away if you encounter them solo, but if they come in packs, they'll be a lot braver. At least that's the impression I got. It could be that just certain guys are aggressive and certain guys aren't, with no explanation. But that's the impression I got, was like or maybe it's like there's two different species of enemies, one that attacks and one that runs away, but I haven't been able to tell the difference. So notice this little thing that I'm walking across. It makes a little twang. It's like a little tripwire. When I bring up my lantern, it lights red. And so traps light red like that. So this is a trap, I guess, except I've never figured out what it does. And it could be that this one does nothing and that future ones are dangerous, and they just put these here so that I would learn what they looked like for the future, and learn the fact that my, die, animal. Oh, I thought that I could get meat from that. Oh well, here's a radish. Oh, did I just... Okay. I wasn't paying attention to my hunger. You saw up there at the top left? My heart was running out, and I just was not even paying any attention to it. And so you have to pay attention to that. I've been sitting here talking about the game and lost track of something important. But it's good. We'll be able to actually see how this game works now, because I died so soon. We'll be able to see it without having to spend a whole ton of time. So we go back to the beginning, and a new character arrives in the boat. So if I had built up enough lantern crystals and had found a campfire and had set it up as a save point, then I could jump straight from the campfire here on the beach to wherever I had made that save point. But I didn't do that. So we're gonna have to get there the natural way. So here you can see here, in the time since my other character died, a new shard has been dropped in that spot. If you get the rhythm just right, you can move faster by dodging constantly. And there's some embers left behind at this campfire. I think that's just because my previous character set it on fire. And so I can do that again, and then next time I come, I'll be able to do that same thing. So now I don't have... This character can actually use the shortcut that was opened up by the previous character, which is very helpful. So you don't have to climb that whole cliff. You don't have to navigate that enormous field of grass. You'll notice that, again, this chest is filled. So this character has a backup water container, just like the first one did. This barrel is again fixed. So I can collect some water here and drink. So you'll see on the upper left corner, my thirst is good, my health is good, and hopefully I'll be able to keep track of it this time and actually keep my character alive. Cloudcraft says, I too have gone without food while exploring something new. I get the sense you might be talking about real life, which, yeah, I have done that as well. Okay, so I just got some special arrows. That's pretty cool. We'll keep on going. All right, so you can definitely see that the amount of pickups on the ground is much, much lower this time through than it was my first pass. So a few things are replenished, but not very many. So all I've got here is water and a handful of things. I don't think I can craft anything. I've only got my bow. I don't have my spear. So we'll keep heading down and try to find that character. And also, one thing that's interesting, is worth pointing out, is actually, well, let's make sure this is true before I make any claims that are spurious. Yeah, you notice the map is empty again. So I have to re-explore the map in order to fill it in for this character. This character doesn't know any more about the world than the previous character did. The only piece of new information is, see that red dot? That red dot represents the location of my previous corpse. So I can roughly estimate using the map, where I need to go in order to find my corpse. Another shard. But that's it. That's the only information I'm given. So, anything I don't remember about the world, I have to discover afresh. So I'm pretty sure... Okay, so I've got 3 shards now. So again, I can make another spike. It does almost feel like the game is designed to reward, actually, a lot of death and continuing, because you get slightly more resources that way than you get if you, never die. Though, of course, the best thing is to just never have any hardships at all, because you're just so amazing at this game. Oh. Okay, so I could just continue on down, but I think down and to the left is what's pointing me towards my corpse. Is anyone else getting the impression that this map is just a little bit different than it was the first time? Let me see what's over here. One problem is once you commit to an action, your character is going to finish it, even if they're getting attacked partway through. I'm not sure if there's a way to interrupt. Next time I pull a turnip, I should try to dodge away and see if that does anything. But one thing you'll definitely notice is my character does not have a lantern. So I'm sitting here in the dark. It's very hard to see what's going on. And there's not a lot I can do about it, except, let's see here. I've got 1 torch. Let's try using this torch. Okay, so that is helping me see. I don't know if it'll highlight traps the same way, though. Let's find out by probably getting killed. Oh, Cloudcraft asks, is it just me, or is the appearance of your character slightly different? Yeah, so you really are a different character each time. I think that they randomly determine the look of your character each time you start a new character. So you're not really like the same different iterations of the same person coming back. You really are meant to feel like you are different people. So I appreciate the fact that I can collect the lantern crystals even before I have a lantern. Okay, let's see if I can pull a radish. Okay, no, I could not dodge while pulling a radish. So if I commit to a radish and an enemy shows up, I'm just sad. So this right here, I think that might be a trap. I'm not sure. Oh wait, no, this is the, okay, yeah, this is a tripwire. And I don't think it does anything. And it's weird, but you'll notice that it is not highlighting red. So, okay, so the thing that I asserted at the very beginning of this is true, that that without the lantern, you cannot highlight traps. And so there are some traps out here in this game that are 1 shot, 1 kill. And if you are trying to traverse several levels without the lantern, and there are traps in those levels, you might just get insta-killed and have to start all over again, which can be very frustrating. And oh, here's my corpse. That's right. So I'm picking up all the corpse's stuff, and I'm also getting the lantern. And what is this? Oh, it's a key. Okay, so it looks like my torch ran out, but that's fine. I've got the lantern now. And I've got 16 crystals for it, because I picked up... Yeah, I had the crystals I picked up along the way, and also my corpse's crystals. Oh! Lloydsley just explained to me what the tripwires are for. If I'm running, they trip me up. So wait, here's the question. Is there running in this game? How do you run? Like, I can dodge, Does it trip me? Is that what you're talking about? Like if I do this dodge move, does it trip me? Ow. All right, that was a good lot of crystals. I'm kind of surprised none of them fell off a cliff. No! Ah, almost had a perfect record there. Okay, so I'm at the spot where my dead body is. It keeps the red dot on the map, and I'm not sure why, because I feel like I've done everything with my dead body that I possibly can. Also, didn't it feel like the map was different this time? I have not yet confirmed, either in like press information or anywhere else, that this is true. What? Caltrops? Whoa, cool. But I get the impression that the dungeon is different every time that the caves are different each time you go through them. Because certainly I don't recognize this area, which is where I found my corpse. But my corpse also, I really did just die very, very quickly, though, as I entered an area. So maybe I'm wrong about that. Okay, Cloudcraft confirms that the map was different. And, okay, an extra crispy 420, nice to meet you, says that, yeah, the floor layout and the room layout are procedurally generated. Okay, so good to have that, because my memory is bad enough that, like, I was suspecting when I was playing this game for the first time that stuff was procedural, but I was having a lot of time convincing myself absolutely that it was. So before I think we can unlock that door down there, but before we do, we've got an empty spot on the map that I want to check out. So let's make sure we're getting everything we can out of this. So you'll notice this is a fire that I set that I'm now collecting ember from. So, which gives you a good reason to go back through old areas. I'm going to keep replenishing my water. One thing I should check out is food. What are my food needs here? So my stomach, you can see in the upper left-hand corner, my stomach is half empty. If I eat a turnip, that'll probably fill it up. Nope, does not fill it up. Well, actually, I should wait until I can cook something better. My stomach isn't in huge danger at the moment. Okay, yeah, so if I go to the east here, that will take me to a room I haven't visited yet. Well, that certainly explains why it makes even more sense for each character to show up without knowledge of the map, because literally the map is different when the next character shows up. But I think some elements can be familiar. Like, I remember this cave, for instance, from a previous playthrough. And so I think that they scramble up the order of the rooms, but I think elements of the rooms are pretty solid and repeatable. Looks like a big band-aid, some arrows. Oh, I'm full? Okay, so what can I do? Oh, I can make more caltrops. Oh, but these don't stack? Oh, that is too bad. Oh, and I can make another torch. So that gives me room to pick up more arrows. And some shrooms! I'm not quite sure what the shrooms are for yet. Okay, so Lloydsy says, oh my gosh, I can run! Lloydsy just said that holding A would let me run, and I had no idea that was a thing. Oh, wow! That's great! Honestly, that makes having to go back and find corpses way less frustrating if you can run there. Though, of course, if you don't have your lantern and there are, you know, one-shot, one-kill traps, that's probably bad. Okay, so it looks like there's no exits here, right? So this is not an exit-y. Oh, hey, there's that. Hey, let's try it out. Oh, yep, I fell down. Okay, cool. It's so funny that the very first trap you encounter depends on you doing a thing you might have never figured out you could do. Oh, I'm all full of moss. Is there anything else I can craft? Well, not this. I can turn sticks into a bundle. Cool. Oh, and then the reason I did that was because I wanted to pick up more moss. All right. So all this will do is lead me back to a place I've already been, so don't need to do that. But I can run! Oh, look at me! This is so great. Wait, did I already went in this cave, right? I did, yes. Do. Woohoo! Yeah! Seriously, my enjoyment of this game just went up by 25%. Thank you, Loadsy. Do. Oh, man! This guy's booking it! Where was the exit? Right here? Extra Crispy says, at least you don't die from tripping. I agree. I'm terrified for like when I'm going to run into spike traps again for the first time this playthrough. And that's just going to be a freaking disaster. Okay, so I picked up a key. I put a key in there. It opens up the stairs. And now I can go further down. So yeah, so I remember this level. So there are definitely chunks of the game that are that do repeat. You'll notice that I just picked up 25 crystals, which is a lot of crystals. And the reason why I did that was because they wanted to teach me this mechanic. So you sit down at this campfire, and now I have the option to spend 25 crystals to make it a save point. So now it's a blue fire, and because it's a blue fire, I'm able to basically my character can teleport here in the future. So I think this character can come back to this fire if he wants to, or a new character can teleport to this fire. I think both of those are possible. So my character is gonna make some mushroom soup. Ooh, red elixir is what I got because I put a mushroom in it. That makes sense. So I'm not sure what red elixir does. One thing it might not do is feed me though, and so now I'm nervous that maybe I've just used all my food on something that will not make me more fed. Also, none of this stuff is good for crafting with each other, and so I'm probably gonna have to end up dropping something. So if I pick up another ember, I might be able to do something with it. So I'm gonna drop this blood moss. Pick up the ember, and then I think I can craft something with 3 embers. Yes, I can. Not sure what it is. Phosphor is what it is. Okay, so now I've got my blood moss. Let's keep going. Oh, that's true. Oh, I can drop caltrops and see what they do. I'd like to drop caltrops and see what they do in an area with enemies. And actually, I think the way I probably want to do... I think caltrops need to be assigned to a slot. Just like... Let's see. I should probably assign bandages to a slot. So you can see those appearing in the bottom left corner of my HUD. All right, so, okay. Here's a place with some bad guys. Let's drop the caltrops. Hey, guy. So here's one problem that I have in this game is that the X button is the attack button in so many other games I play. I keep hitting it to attack when actually trigger is attack. What X does is it switches me to a different weapon. So I just switched to my bow for no good reason. And actually, so I don't waste arrows, let's just have my spear be my backup weapon. So I think I don't know, I have more reach with this spear, but I can't block. So let's see how this goes. Can I use this to my advantage? Okay, so that's pretty effective. I think usually I have to hit those guys twice in order to kill them. But the spear took them out in one. But that costs me the ability to defend. Cloudcraft, I don't know how long the the blue flames persist. Like if I die twice, will it still be there? I'm really not sure. So I feel like I have to aim this more precisely than I have to with my sword, but its reach is great. Okay, the ambience is making me nervous. I think I do need to find some food. Because I wasted all my food making red elixir, which I don't think fills me up. Okay, that's bad. And the only reason I noticed it is because of my lantern. I could easily have walked right into that without my lantern. One nice thing about the spear is it's not moving their crystals as far as the sword does. And so I'm way less likely to knock them off cliffs, which is great. Oh, look, turnip. Okay, I'm eating that turnip right now. I could have saved it to make soup, but I was getting nervous because I died of apparent starvation last time. So I'm just showing an abundance of caution. If I find an area with multiple turnips, maybe I'll make some soup. So where are we? So east and southwest are my options here. Let's go east. Cloudcroft points out that if I do cut grass all the time, that might actually make traps more visible, even without the lantern. And that is a good point. So maybe it does actually serve a subtle gameplay purpose. Okay, I think I need my lantern to be able to tell where the ground is here. I think you can let bad guys hit those traps. Man, I can't believe I never used this spear before. I can't believe I didn't, because it's so effective against those guys. You notice me carefully aiming myself. Okay, I've never learned how to get past those vines. I've tried to use like fire and stuff, nothing seemed to work. I don't remember exactly how I attempted to use fire before though, so maybe I just didn't do it in a particularly effective way. All right, so I killed some guys, got some crystals. Pretty worthwhile, but didn't make any progress further down. Let's try going southwest from here. Splish, splash. Okay, little guys. That guy was smarter than usual. Okay, I picked up a key that I think is the key to the next area. Oh, I'm full. Can I do anything with the stuff that's currently in my inventory? I got a lot of blood moss. Alright. Okay, I can't use that yet. Whatever. Alright, so I can go up and to the left or down and to the right. I mean, down and to the left, whatever. I know directions. Okay, so it's telling me that I'm starting to get hungry again. on the Blaze Experience podcast, he did talk about, that he had read a lot of complaints from people that hunger seems to be too strong a concern for your character for the amount of resources that are available to fulfill it. Holy crap. Seriously, without the spear, this would have been way harder. I love these little crystals glow like that. I mean, it just makes them, I don't know. I just like when things work even when you're not using them. I could see them being fuel for the lantern, but not actually glowing. But the fact that they glow just kind of communicates their purpose so clearly. So this looks like it's the next way down. There is more room to explore, but we're running low on time for the stream, so I'm just going to keep going. My expectation is I'm not going to do very well as I get deeper and deeper. Some kind of special gear. All right. Okay, so do I have enough to make this? Yes, so I've got enough to make this my new checkpoint. And then I don't think I can make anything. Because I just haven't needed anything. I think this is, what is this? A bomb. Okay, cool. Probably use that at some point. Yep, can't pick up the embers. So I'm using my lantern right now to open this. And there's a big scary eye. Hello. Ah, what? Ah. Oh, right. This is when you get the pocket dimension. So he just teleported me to the pocket dimension, which I can get to by sleeping at any of the at any campfire. And so what this gives me the ability to do is, okay, so I can hide weapons in here if I want to. I don't particularly want to. I can store outfits, which I've never even encountered an outfit, so I don't even know what's up there. And then here, I can store stuff. So, like, maybe I want to store those, or I mean, I might use any of these. I'm not really using arrows very much, so I'll drop those off. Bomb might be. Bomb seems like something that might be more useful in the future, and less useful right this second. So I think I'll leave that, and I'll keep the rest of this stuff. But yeah, it just gives me a little bit of storage space to keep valuable stuff that I don't think I'm going to use immediately. And so I can cook here if I'm so inclined. I am about to starve to death. So Cloudcraft has observed that the dots, the red guys that run away from me, appear to have no black cloud around them, whereas the one that attacked me do have black cloud. So it does seem like maybe they are just different levels of creature. They're like fundamentally different species. They just look very similar because you're just seeing red dots in the dark. Oh, dang it. I like that the enemy creatures are made out of the stuff that they drop for you, and you can sort of see how much they have to offer. Like, this guy is made out of one crystal, and he basically becomes the pickup. It's just, I love how clearly connected the world is to the resources in the UI. It's just, it feels like it's just all one thing, right? It's not like these guys drop crystals, and you just have to remember that they drop crystals. Like, no, if they drop crystals, they look like crystals. You can see the crystals. They become the crystals. Like, from beginning to end, they are crystals. Oh, no! Well, that wasn't very smart. So it is... Okay, so I am about to starve to death, and I have seen literally no food for a really long time. And so if I hadn't wasted that food making that red elixir that I don't even know what it's for, I probably would not be on the verge of death right now. Oh, crap. Okay, so I have to attack him at just the right time. And I'm betting if I had my sword, if I switched to my sword, I could probably block his attacks. All right, let's quickly craft some spikes. Was that spike arrows? I don't even know what that does. Whatever, I just wanted space in my inventory. Okay, so is there gonna be, oh, what's this? A potato! Okay, so you can see my stomach is now red and is sapping my health. So, no time to make soup. Let's eat a potato. I think soup is definitely naturally more nutritious. It's a more efficient way to feed your character, but a lot of the time you don't have time to collect the ingredients to make it. You have to eat something sooner than that. So that was a snake. And now I've got some stuff out of that snake. So maybe we'll be able to make some snake soup later on if I can find more ingredients and a campfire before the next time I'm starving. Otherwise, I might just have to eat raw snake. Extra Crispy points out that if you actually look really closely at the enemies, they have like 3 legs, and they're like they actually do have bodies. Just because it's in the dark so often, it feels like they're just a floating crystal a lot of the time. So before I go over further to the west, I kind of want to check out what's in this room. I was kind of hoping something dramatic would happen in the next few minutes because I do need to quit streaming and get back to work. Maybe this will murder me. What is that? What are you? I don't understand. So I'm pretty sure I can use those traps against enemies, but because they're just instant death to me, I just find them terrifying. I've instantly died to them twice so far, and one of them was the moment that made me quit playing the game for a while. So I'm just just not worth trying to use them to my advantage. I just want them gone. I gotta say, since I realized that the spear was more effective against these kinds of enemies, I have gotten way more effective at the combat of this game. Oh, Extra Crispy says I should shine a lantern at that glowy thing. That makes sense. Let's go back and do that before I die of starvation again. I have to start chewing on raw snake. Run, 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 run. Runny, 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 runny. Run, 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 run. Run, run, run. Okay, let's, shine the lantern. Whoa. And I just got a thing? What'd I get? Oh, it's an extra chunk in my lantern? What does that do? So Extra Crispy says, when in doubt, shine the lantern on it. If you run into something you don't understand, definitely shine the lantern on it. So I gotta say, the original time I played this over Christmas break, I had kind of written the game off. I was like, I just don't have the patience to keep coming back to it, you know, with all of the with the frustration of death and stuff like that. Nope, stop. So it's definitely a bad thing that I can't interrupt lengthy interactions in order to deal with enemies. But okay, so if there was, I could make some stew if there was a campfire nearby. Whatever. Oh, what can I make with leather bundle? It's just an arrow? Just one arrow? All of that? The bundle was 3 sticks. What are you talking about? Okay, that's freaking ridiculous. At least let me make multiple arrows. Come on. Ugh. Just wasted so many sticks. Extra Crispy says, this game takes a lot of patience. You have no idea. No! Okay, so my health isn't great right now, but I can use a bandage, right? I thought I could. No, that didn't do anything. I'm wasting bandages. Bandages don't fix my health? What do they do then? Is my health just aware that most of its damage is from starving to death, and so bandages don't work? Or what? What's the deal? Anyway, the point I was trying to make was I didn't think that I had the patience for this game, but I might actually, because the things that I'm learning about it in this session are making me warm up to it a little bit more. Cloudcraft points out that I also didn't have the patience for the messenger originally until he forced me to play it more, and then it was more fun. So that is a problem that I have. The fact that I feel such anxiety and time pressure around playing enough games, for the reasons that I play them, that sometimes I'll jettison a game sooner than I should. I might actually. There's a lot of things I could learn from it, and a lot of enjoyment I could get from it. But if it's not grabbing me fast, I might let go of it prematurely. Because definitely, certainly with its style and its atmosphere and the kinds of mechanics it contains, Below is definitely up my alley. It's the kind of game that I get super into. It seemed like the specific nature of it, the way that the death works and everything, was just gonna make it impossible for me to get super into it. But maybe I was wrong about that. Cloudcraft, the icon near my health that looked like blood to you was actually that's thirst. I'm starving again. Oh. It has been a long time since I've seen. Let's see here. Since I've seen a. Okay, I'm gonna try this red elixir. Okay, it did heal me a little bit. And I assume it gave me some kind of combat boost. Cloudcraft asks, why do those icons always have locks next to them? That I'm not certain about. I think that there's a state you can get into where having all of those full at the same time will feed into your health and heal you. Like I think I've gotten into that state at a campfire before, where I was my stomach was completely full. I was full up of thirst. I was warm enough, and that healed my. Oh, look! Oh, check it out! I'm getting cold now, and it filled up my health. And so maybe the lock means that they're not ready to do that yet. Okay, so I need to get a key before I can go in here, but yeah, this looks like it's an ice section, which means I'm gonna have to worry about my warmth constantly, which is another challenge. Like, I'm glad that they layer that challenge in later on in the game. Oh, so Extra Crispy says that lock icon is actually a bug on the Xbox, and possibly a new one, because you know what, it didn't look that familiar to me, because I played this right after it came out initially, and I didn't remember those locks being there, so that's an interesting bug. All right, well, I think I'm out of time, but hopefully, you know, I've given you guys sort of a rough sense of what this game is about, right? How it works, and what's good about it. You know, my favorite things about it are the atmosphere, the audio, that sense of, you know, I don't really know what's going on, but there's just around each corner is something new and beautiful for me to explore. It definitely delivers all of that at, like, you know, top-notch level. It definitely has some punishing difficulty. You know, and there's a lot of randomness that can really play into it, you know, where you just haven't happened to find food for a while, and now you're starving, and you feel like there's nothing you ever could have done about it, and you feel like your death is frustrating. Or, you know, you literally couldn't see that trap, and you didn't have a lantern, and it killed you in one shot, and that was very frustrating. So there's a lot of moments like that, and that was why I initially stopped playing the game. But you'll find that, you know, as I returned to the game and started having new experiences with it and learning more about it, it started pulling me back in again. I started wanting to play it again. And so, you know, there's definitely there's a lot of great things about this game. And so if this is the kind of thing that you're into, if you like atmospheric, crazy, weird indie games, and if you like survival games, this is, you know, you should definitely give this some serious consideration. So we'll wrap up the video and get out of here.